The Knights of Columbus is the world's largest Catholic fraternal service organization. Founded by Father Michael J. McGivney in New Haven, Connecticut, in 1882, it was named in honor of the mariner Christopher Columbus, originally serving as a mutual benefit society to low-income immigrant Catholics. It developed into a fraternal benefit society dedicated to providing charitable services, promoting Catholic education and Catholic public policy positions, and actively defending Roman Catholicism in various nations. There are 1,883,598 members in nearly 15,000 councils, with 302 councils on college campuses. Membership is limited to practical Catholic men aged 18 or older. Membership consists of 4 different degrees, each exemplifying a different principle of the order. The order is a member of the International Alliance of Catholic Knights. Councils have been chartered in the United States, Canada, the Philippines, Mexico, Poland, the Dominican Republic, Panama, the Bahamas, Cuba, Guatemala, Saipan, South Korea, Ukraine, Lithuania, and on U.S. military bases around the world. The Knights' official junior organization, the Columbian Squires, has over 5,000 circles, and the Order's patriotic arm, the 4th degree, has more than 2,500 assemblies, for the support for the Church and local communities, as well as for the philanthropic efforts. Pope John Paul II referred to the Order as a strong right arm of the Church. Quote, in 2014, the Order gave over $173 million directly to charity and performed over 71.5 million man-hours of voluntary service. Over 413,000 U.S. pints of blood were donated in 2010. The Order's insurance program has more than 2 million insurance contracts, totaling more than $100 billion of life insurance in force. This is backed up by $21 billion in assets as of 2014. Within the United States, on the national and state level, the Order is active in the political arena, lobbying for laws and positions that uphold the Catholic Church's positions on public policy and social issues. History. Founding Michael J. McGivney, an Irish-American Catholic priest, founded the Knights of Columbus, Indiana, New Haven, Connecticut. He gathered a group of men from St. Mary's Parish for an organizational meeting on October 2, 1881, and the Order was incorporated under the laws of the state of Connecticut on March 29, 1882. Although the first councils were all in that state, the Order spread throughout New England and the United States in subsequent years. By 1889, there were 300 councils comprising 40,000 knights. 20 years later, in 1909, there were 230,000 knights in 1,300 councils. The Order was intended as a mutual benefit society. These organizations, which combined social aspects and ritual, were especially flourishing during the latter third of the 19th century, the so-called Golden Age of fraternalism. As a parish priest in an immigrant community, McGivney saw what could happen to a family when the main income earner died, and wanted to provide insurance to care for the widows and orphans left behind. He also had to temporarily leave his seminary studies to care for his family when his father died. However, Roman Catholics in the late 19th century were regularly excluded from labor unions, popular fraternal organizations, and other organized groups that provided social services, and papal encyclicals issued by the Holy See prohibited Roman Catholics participating as lodge members within Freemasonry. McGivney wished to provide them an alternative. He also believed that Catholicism and fraternalism were not incompatible and wanted to found a society to encourage men to be proud of their American Catholic heritage. McGivney traveled to Boston to examine the Massachusetts Catholic Order of Foresters and to Brooklyn to learn about the recently established Catholic Benevolent League, both of which offered insurance benefits. He found the latter to be lacking the excitement he thought was needed if his organization were to compete with the secret societies of the day. He expressed an interest in establishing a New Haven Court of the Foresters, but the Charter of Massachusetts Foresters prevented them from operating outside the Commonwealth. McGivney's Committee of St. Mary's parishioners decided to form a club that was entirely original. The name of Columbus was also partially intended as a mild rebuke to Anglo-Saxon Protestant leaders, who upheld the explorer as an American hero, yet simultaneously sought to marginalize recent Catholic immigrants. In taking Columbus as the patron, they were expressing the belief that not only could Catholics be full members of American society, but were instrumental in its foundation. McGivney had originally conceived of the name Sons of Columbus, but James T. Mullen, who would become the first Supreme Knight, successfully suggested that Knights of Columbus would better capture the ritualistic nature of the new organization. By the time of the first annual convention in 1884, the order was prospering. The 5 councils throughout Connecticut had a total of 459 members. Groups from other states were requesting information. The Charter of 1899 included 4 statements of purpose, including, to promote such social and intellectual intercourse among its members as shall be desirable and proper, and by such lawful means as to them shall seem best. The new charter showed members' desire to expand the organization beyond a simple mutual benefit insurance society. The original insurance system devised by McGivney gave a deceased knight's widow a $1,000 death benefit. Each member was assessed $1 upon a death, and when the number of knights grew beyond 1,000, the assessment decreased according to the rate of increase. Each member, regardless of age, was assessed equally. As a result, younger, healthier members could expect to pay more over the course of their lifetimes than those men who joined when they were older. There was also a sick benefit deposit for members who fell ill and could not work. Each sick knight was entitled to draw up to $5 a week for 13 weeks. If he remained sick after that, the council to which he belonged regulated the sum of money given to him. Creation of the 4th degree. For the very early days of the order, members wanted to create a form of hierarchy and recognition for senior members. This issue was discussed at the national meeting of 1899. As early as 1886, Supreme Knight James T. Mullen had proposed a patriotic degree with its own symbolic dress. The KFC established the Grand Cross of the Knights of Columbus, but awarded it only to Cristobal y de la Cerda, Duke of Veragua and descendant of Columbus, when he visited the U.S. in 1893. About 1,400 members attended the first exemplification of the 4th degree at the Lenox Lyceum in New York on February 22, 1900. The event was infused with Catholic and patriotic symbols and imagery that celebrated American Catholic heritage. The 2 knights leading the ceremony, for example, were the expositor of the Constitution and the defender of the faith. The ritual soon spread to other cities. The new 4th degree members returned to the councils, forming assemblies composed of members from several councils. Those assemblies chose the new members members. In 1903, the board of directors officially approved a new degree exemplifying patriotism order-wide, using the New York City model. There was from early on a desire to receive within its ranks only the best, and each candidate was required to produce a certificate from his parish priest attesting that he had received Holy Communion within the past 2 weeks. Persecution by the Ku Klux Klan. Not long after the establishment of the fourth degree, during the nadir of American race relations, a bogus oath was circulated claiming that fourth-degree knights swore to exterminate Freemasons and Protestants, as well as flay, burn alive, boil, kill, and otherwise torture anyone, including women and children, when called upon to disobey church authorities. It is a strange paradox, according to some commentators, that the degree devoted to patriotism should be accused of anti-Americanism. The bogus oath was based on a previous oath falsely attributed to the Jesuits more than 3 centuries earlier. The Ku Klux Klan, which was growing into a powerful force through the 1920s, spread the bogus oath far and wide as part of the campaign against Catholics. During the 1928 presidential election, the Klan printed and distributed 1 million copies of the oath in an effort to defeat Catholic Democratic candidate Al Smith. Thomas S. Butler, U.S. Representative from Pennsylvania, read it into the congressional record. The bogus oath was refuted by the Committee of Public Information, a wartime propaganda agency of the U.S. government. Misunderstanding Catholicism. The Klan alleged that knights were only loyal to the Pope and that they advocated the overthrow of the United States government. Across the country, local, state, and the Supreme Councils offered rewards to anyone who could prove that the widely circulated oath was authentic. No one could, but that did not stop the Klan from continuing to publish and distribute copies. Numerous state councils and the Supreme Council believed that this violent wave of religious prejudice was actuated by mercenary motives, and that publication would stop if fines were imposed and jail time assessed. They began suing distributors for libel. This caused an end to such publication, as the order did not wish to appear motivated by vengeful spirit. It asked for leniency from judges when sentencing offenders. To help combat this misconception of what the fourth degree was about, the actual oath taken by fourth-degree members was submitted to various groups of prominent non-Catholic men around the country for them to examine. Many made public declarations attesting to the loyalty and patriotism of the knights. After examining the true oath, a committee of high-ranking California Freemasons, a group singled out for violence in the bogus oath, declared in 1914, "The ceremonial of the order teaches a high and noble patriotism, instills a love of country, inculcates a reverence of civic duty, and holds up the Constitution of our country as the richest and most precious possession of a knight of the Order PSV, Society of Sisters." After World War I, many Americans had a revival of concerns about assimilation of immigrants and worries about foreign values. They expected public schools to teach children to be American. Numerous states drafted laws designed to use schools to promote a common American culture, and in 1922, the voters of Oregon passed the Oregon Compulsory Education Act. The law was primarily aimed at eliminating parochial schools, including Catholic schools. It was promoted by groups such as the Knights of Pythias, the Federation of Patriotic Societies, the Oregon Good Government League, the Orange Order, and the Ku Klux Klan. The Compulsory Education Act required almost all children in Oregon between 8 and 16 years of age to attend public school by 1926. Roger Nash Baldwin, an associate director of the ACLU and a personal friend of then Supreme Advocate and future Supreme Knight Lukey, Hart offered to join forces with the order to challenge the law. The Knights of Columbus pledged an immediate $10,000 to fight the law and any additional funds necessary to defeat it. The case became known as Pierce v. Society of Sisters, a seminal United States Supreme Court decision that significantly expanded coverage of the Due Process Clause in the 14th Amendment. In a unanimous decision, the court held that the act was unconstitutional and that parents, not the state, had the authority to educate children as they thought best. Racial integration in the U.S. In the 1920s there was growing anti-Semitism in the United States, a lingering anti-German sentiment left over from World War I, and anti-black violence was prevalent throughout the country. To combat the animus targeted at racial and religious minorities, including Catholics, the order formed a historical commission which published a series of books. Among other activities, the Knights of Columbus Racial Contributions series of books included three titles: The Gift of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois, The Jews in the Making of America by George Cohen, and The Germans in the Making of America by Frederick Schrader. As the 20th century progressed, some councils in the United States became integrated, but many were not. Church officials and organizations encouraged integration. By the end of the 1950s, Supreme Knight Lukey, Hart was actively encouraging councils to accept black candidates. In 1963, Hart attended a special meeting that the White House hosted by President John F. Kennedy to discuss civil rights with other religious leaders. A few months later, a Notre Dame alumnus's application was rejected by a local council because he was black. 6 council offices resigned in protest, and the incident made national news. Hart declared that the process for membership would be revised at the next Supreme Convention, but died before he could see it take place. The 1964 Supreme Convention was scheduled to be held at the Roosevelt Hotel in New Orleans. A few days before the convention, new Supreme Knight John W. McDevitt learned the hotel only admitted white guests and immediately threatened to move to another venue. The hotel changed its policy and so did the order. The convention amended the admissions rule to require 1/3 of those voting to reject a new member. In 1972, the Supreme Convention amended its rules again, requiring a majority of members voting to reject a candidate. Recent history. In 1997, the cause for McGivney's canonization was opened in the Archdiocese of Hartford, and then was placed before the Congregation for the Causes of Saints in 2000. The Father Michael J. McGivney Guild was formed in 1997 to promote his cause and currently has more than 140,000 members. Membership in the Knights of Columbus does not automatically make one a member of the Guild, nor is membership restricted to Knights. Members must elect to join. On March 15, 2008, Pope Benedict XVI approved a decree recognizing McGivney's heroic virtue, significantly advancing the priest's process towards sainthood. McGivney may now be referred to as the Venerable Servant of God. If the cause is successful, he would be the first priest born in the United States to be canonized as a saint. Degrees and principles. The order is dedicated to the principles of charity, unity, fraternity, and patriotism. A first-degree exemplification ceremony, by which a man joins the order, explicates the virtue of charity. He is then said to be a first-degree Knight of Columbus, after participating the subsequent degrees, each of which focuses on another virtue. He rises to that status. Upon reaching the third degree, a gentleman is a full member. Priests do not participate directly in degree exemplifications as laymen do, but rather take the degree by observation. The first ritual handbook was printed in 1885, but contained only sections teaching unity and charity. Supreme Knight Mullen, along with primary ritual author Daniel Colwell, believed that the initiation ceremony should be held in 3 sections in accord with the Trinity of virtues: charity, unity, and brotherly love. The third section, expounding fraternity, was officially adopted in 1891. Fourth degree. After taking the third degree, knights are eligible to receive the fourth degree, the primary purpose of which is to foster the spirit of patriotism and to encourage active Catholic citizenship. Fourth degree members, in addition to being members of their individual councils, are also members of fourth degree assemblies, which typically comprise members of several councils. As of 2013, there were 3,109 assemblies worldwide. Fewer than 18% of knights join the fourth degree, which is optional, and whose members are referred to as Knight. Of a total 1,703,307 knights in 2006, there were 292,289 fourth degree knights. This number increased to 335,132 in 2013. A waiting period of 1 year from the time the third degree was taken was eliminated in 2013, and now any third degree knight is eligible to join the fourth degree. A new military overseas Europe special district was established in 2013 to oversee assemblies of military personnel serving on that continent. Over 100 Department of Defense civilian employees and active duty personnel based in Germany, Italy, and Britain took part in a special fourth degree exemplification ceremony at Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany in 2013, and in that year exemplifications were also held in Camp Zama, Japan, and Yongsan Garrison in Seoul, Korea, where there are existing assemblies. Knights volunteer at 136 of the 153 Veterans Affairs medical centers. Color Corps. Fourth degree knights may optionally purchase and wear the full regalia and join an assembly's color corps. The color corps is the most visible arm of the knights, as they are often seen in parades and other local events wearing the colorful regalia. Official dress for the color corps is a black tuxedo, baldric, white gloves, cape, and naval chapeau. In warm climates and during warm months, a white dinner jacket may be worn, if done as a unit. Baldrics are worn from the right shoulder to left hip and are color-specific by nation. In the United States, Panama, and the Philippines, baldrics are red, white, and blue. Red and white baldrics are used in Canada and Poland, red, white, and green in Mexico, and blue and white in Guatemala. Service baldrics include a scabbard for a sword and are worn over the coat, while social baldrics are worn under the coat. The colors on a fourth degree knight's cape and chapeau denote the office he holds within the degree. Faithful navigators and past faithful navigators are permitted to carry a white-handled silver sword. Masters and Vice Supreme Masters, as well as former Masters and former Vice Supreme Masters, are also denoted by the gold swords. Charitable giving. Charity is the foremost principle of the Knights of Columbus. In 2013, the order gave more than $170.1 million directly to charity and performed over 70.5 million man-hours in volunteer service. According to Independent Sector, this service has a value of more than $1.6 billion. The total charitable contributions from the past decade, ending ending December 31, 2013, rose to $13.8 billion. Finally, in 2013, Knights of Columbus, on an average per-member basis, donated $91.80 and contributed 38 hours of community service. More than $1.2 million were donated to Habitat for Humanity in 2012, in addition to 1.4 million volunteer hours. Over 42,000 winter coats were distributed in 2012 to children in cold weather areas as well. The very first ever national blood drive was sponsored by the Order in 1938. In 2012, council blood drives attracted more than 423,000 donors. United in Charity, a general, unrestricted endowment fund, was introduced at the 2004 Supreme Council meeting to support and ensure the overall long-term charitable and philanthropic goals of the Order. The fund is wholly managed, maintained, and operated by Knights of Columbus Charities, Inc., a 501 charitable organization. Before United in Charity was formed, all requests for funds were met with the general funds of the Order or in combination with specific appeals. Global Catholic donations. The Vicarious Christi Fund has an endowment of $20 million and has earned more than $35 million since its establishment in 1981 for the Pope's personal charities. The Knights Satellite Uplink program has provided funding to broadcast a number of papal events, including the annual Easter and Christmas Masses, as well as the World Day of Peace in Assisi, World Youth Days, the opening of the Holy Door at St. Peter's Basilica for the Millennial Jubilee, Pope John Paul II's visit to Nazareth, and several other events. In missionary territories, the Order also pays for the satellite downlink. The Order also has 11 separate funds totaling $18 million to assist men and women who are discerning religious vocations, pay tuition and other expenses. The multi-million-dollar Pacem in Terris Fund aids the Catholic Church's efforts for peace in the Middle East. In 2012, $1.8 million was given by state and local councils to seminaries, with an additional $5.9 million in direct assistance to seminarians. A further $20 million went to church facilities and $7.4 million to Catholic schools from state and local councils. The disabled. The Knights have a tradition of supporting those with physical and developmental disabilities. More than $382 million has been given over the past 3 decades to groups and programs that support the intellectually and physically disabled, with $4.1 million donated in 2012 alone. One of the largest recipients of funds in this area is the Special Olympics. In 2012, there were more than 107,000 Knights who donated 315,000 hours of service at nearly 20,000 Special Olympics events. Individual councils donated $3.7 million to the Special Olympics in 2013. The Order's support for the Special Olympics goes back to the very first Games in 1968. In 2012, more than 5,000 wheelchairs were distributed in 10 countries in a partnership with the Global Wheelchair Mission. Disaster relief. Aside from their other charitable activities, the Knights of Columbus gave significant charitable contributions to the people of Haiti in the aftermath of the devastating earthquake in January 2010. The Order also donated 1,000 wheelchairs to the people of Haiti in partnership with the Global Wheelchair Mission, recognizing that the need was still great in Haiti some 7 months after the disaster. The Knights of Columbus partnered with Project MediShare in August 2010 for an initiative entitled Healing Haiti's Children. The initiative, backed by a more than $2.5 million commitment from the Knights of Columbus provides free prosthetic limbs and a minimum of 2 years of rehab to every child who suffered an amputation from injuries sustained during the earthquake. As of 2013, more than 800 children had already been aided by the program. After the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, a local council in Newtown, Connecticut, established a program asking people to pray a minimum of 3 Hail Marys for the victims and the families. Over 100,000 people pledged to say 3.25 million prayers. More than $500,000 was donated to Hurricane Sandy relief efforts, and $202,000 to victims of the April 2012 tornadoes in Oklahoma. After West Fertilizer Company explosion in Texas, nearly $250,000 were raised. In total, more than $3.3 million were donated by individual councils for disaster relief in 2012.